Mies van der Rohe once very famously said, "Build, don't talk." I'm Architect Karan Anand, introducing you to episode 4 of Mono Architecture, co-sponsored by Glitorium and Treasure Casa, where we are going to be doing a lot of talking about things built. Every great design has an even better design story. Today we have with us two incredible storytellers, Jasem Pirani and Huzefa Rangwal of the incredible design studio Muse Lab. Hi guys.
Hello.
Hi Karan.
Everybody knows who you are, but I would love for you all to give our viewers an intro to yourselves.
So Jasem and I have been best friends for almost 20 years now. We met in 2005. I think we've repeated a story like a billion times. It's like one of those, it's like Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, it's like that one. I mean, it's like an all-time hit. No, but I just graduated from Georgia Tech in Atlanta. He was still studying in Savannah.
Okay.
And one of those long weekends, I happened to drive down to Savannah with some of my friends. We had common friends. So we met through common friends.
Okay.
And I think we just hit it off.
It's like a love story.
It's a love story. It's an absolute love story. It's
so we clicked and we often traveled together, and that's how we connected. Like we would take these long weekends and go to places and plan trips because we were never in the same city.
Fair enough, yeah.
Long distance.
Yeah.
Even the courses were different, right?
They were different, yeah. So I did my master's in digital manufacturing. It was like a 1-year post-professional master's, and
so mine was a master's of architecture.
Okay.
It was a bachelor's of fine arts and a master's of architecture combined. So that was a 5-year course.
That's amazing. And then you all started getting together, and then you all decided to start Muse Lab.
No, it wasn't that fast. No. No, we wanted to start a restaurant, or we wanted to sort of have like a lounge. We'd even thought a name for it, and the whole idea was that it would be like a lounge. That we would be designing T-shirts, these really cool graphic T-shirts, and then at night somehow it would transform into like this very cool Restro-Bar, and the name was Warehouse because we coined this in Mexico. So we were backpacking in Mexico.
The house was JAUZ.
Like Jasem and Huzefa ka use that because this whole.
Yeah, but then we thought that it will become Warehouse instead of warehouse.
But you all were going to set this up in India or abroad?
No, here.
Oh, in India, yeah. I'm glad you all maybe didn't go ahead with that name. I would have definitely called it Jaws.
That's because even Muse Lab becomes Muse Lab.
Really?
Yeah, it gets butchered.
Muse Lab.
Yeah.
It gets butchered a lot. Just like our names get butchered too.
Yeah. So that didn't, of course, happen.
I rehearsed your names. I asked them to make sure I get the pronunciation right. But I think I did, right?
Yeah, otherwise I would have walked out.
Really? I'm just kidding. I would have come with you.
So, I think, and then at some point we both moved back. Huzefa moved back in about 2008. I moved back in 2010.
Okay.
Huzefa was working with Hafiz Contractor, and I was working with Pinakin Patel.
Okay.
And and at one point I think both of us, or at least I felt that I needed to sort of go on my own at that point. So I stepped out of Pinakin Patel's practice in about 2 years' time is what I gave. Yeah. Then by then I think Huzefa had also
pretty much made up my mind that it was that point where I also felt that I was ready to do something on my own, and I guess when he said that he's also done, and I was done, and then we were like, okay, let's join hands. And when we started our practice, the first thing that we did was we took like a 3-week trip to Sri Lanka. So our parents were anyways questioning कि पहले तो two friends are working together, that's like the worst decision.
And you're going on a trip.
And you're starting your practice, you're already broke, there's no money.
Yeah.
What sort of a plan is this?
Was it a explorative trip for the architecture?
No.
No,
it was
just a vacation.
It was just a vacation.
Six of us had gone. Six of us
had gone.
Yeah.
So it was just
I think the idea was to have the bank balance to like an absolute zero. and like to literally be like, I have no money.
I was expecting like a Jeffrey Bawa answer where you all would be like, no, we went to explore the bungalow, but this is this makes more sense.
That just happened, of course.
Yeah.
But we weren't chasing it.
You weren't chasing it.
No.
I was chasing it, and you know what happened with me? My taxi got into an accident 2 hours before the place was closing, and he made me stand there for the insurance, and I didn't end up going there, and I went there for that, so it was quite sad.
But it's okay. Sri Lanka is not too far.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So before we discuss Muse Lab, right? I want to talk about Museart. Because everybody already knows a lot about Muse Lab. I want to know about Museart. What is the idea behind it? You all already have such a thriving practice to begin a new venture like this, to explore a new medium. It's amazing. So, what was the thought process behind it, and why did it come about?
So in 2015, I would say, is when we sort of thought about it, that we want to kind of be able to experiment and play with materials a little. Okay. So it didn't start with the idea that it's going to be a product-based, venture, but the idea was to experiment with materials. And in our every day at Muse Lab, it's like all our projects, the brief is always set by the client. Correct. Yeah, of course, you interpret it in your way, you narrate the story, you have the complete creative control. But the brief setting is done by a client, right? You're not necessarily setting a brief. Yes, you're helping with program development. But so we thought that let's try to create something where, we're playing with material also, but it allows you to kind of create something tangible in a given time as well. Though our first product took a year. So we started playing with birch ply a lot at that time. And our first product was literally a set of coasters. But it sounds crazy that it took a year for that. But there was a lot of thought behind it in terms of material wastage, how we're going to do it, how is this going to be manufactured, all of it, and prototyping, all of that, right? So it started with that, where we felt like, let's create things which allow you to, one, experiment, learn about the material, set your own kind of brief for it, right? So in 2015 is when it kind of started, and then I think it took us a year and a half to kind of formalize that, okay, let's do it.
Let's build on it.
Yeah, because it can't just be a hobby, right? So let's build on it. And that's when we started Museart, which is focusing on products and furniture.
Correct.
And we also came from practices where we were working on very large projects. Like Jasem, for the longest time when he was working with Gensler in New York, worked only on airport projects for almost 6 years. When I was working with Hafiz Contract and also my practice in Atlanta, I was working on master planning projects, high rises and whatnot. So, and when we started Muse Lab, our first project was like a half-done 3-bedroom apartment in Bombay. So someone had already done the work, the client fired the architect, and I happened to be the client's brother's best friend from school, right? And we kind of then got the project, and we sort of, entered and started working the project. But what we realized was that it was very important to understand, details. And I think that conscious decision of starting with interiors, of course, it was not entirely conscious, it was also about that we were not getting that much work. So that was the first project, right? So, but it helped in a way because we were, we started at a very, very small scale in interiors. And then 3 years down the line, I think Museart also started because there was a downtime at the studio. There wasn't that much work at that, it was always that sort of ebb and flow, right? In the early stages of practice, it always happens, right? And I think it just consciously gave us an opportunity to create something. And from working on airports and high rises to then coming to, like small scale interior projects, to then actually doing something which fits in your palm, what it made us realize also is that we didn't want to limit our practice to scale. We didn't want to limit our practice to a typology. We didn't want to limit our practice to a certain ism in architecture. And I think that a lot of that became, the genesis of how Muse Lab was going to eventually develop, in the next few years. But I think those first 3 or 4 years, I think essentially set the tone for the practice, the thought process, the principles, anything and everything to do with that.
That's really, really interesting.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't realize that, right? That to reach a certain point, there's a lot of struggle, there's a lot of chaos, planning, iterations, and redoing it again and again and again, and trying to figure the right journey out. And when I discuss this with people, people feel like, oh, it's Muse Lab, they've always had a big project, they've always had bungalows, but it doesn't work that way. And I'm really happy that you shared this story with us.
Yeah. Oh my God, I think like the first year,
Muse Lab.
Yeah, our baby Muse Lab we worked on some, I think 18 or 19 pitches. We just did free work because we were so desperate.
Yeah, don't do free work.
Yeah,
is my advice.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but it's very it's easy to say that, but we know how desperate we were. In that first year. It took Sri Lanka
and any work is work, and especially when you're starting off, because you don't get work easily, and everyone is like always trying to figure out if you're credible enough to do it. And
true. No, so I mean I know that today we obviously say that do not work for free, but it comes from a point of view that you need to obviously do what is best for yourself, right? So if you feel that at that point in time it is important for you to take that project, and if you are just a one-man practice or a one-woman practice, doesn't matter, and you're not having that many overheads or that many outgoing, you can take up a project for half the fee, but at least get it done and add it to a portfolio and do it the way you want to do it. Put your heart into it. That's the only way to sort of build.
That makes sense. That makes sense. That's really good advice. Tell me, what's the story behind the name?
No, that you say. He narrates it very beautifully. I always say that in all the interviews.
It puts a lot of pressure, but I don't know. No, I think, when we were kind of trying to think, we didn't want it to be like our namesake, J&H Associates or any of that. We didn't want that to be.
I would have left him there and then.
So, anyways, I think it also goes back to a bit that, when I moved back from New York to Bombay, I had started a blog. Okay, I'm not blogging right now, but I had started a blog. It went by A Musing Elephant.
Yeah, that's your Instagram.
Yeah, that's my Instagram handle. But that actually started with a blog.
Okay.
And that was.
Sorry to interrupt, but is that blog still
accessible to us? It could be. It could be. I don't know if I've.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. I need to check. It was on WordPress, so it should be around. I would.
We'll search for the link.
So it was a mix of things. It was a lot. So I have not spent till I moved back. I had not spent much time in Bombay, I would say. Okay, because I went to boarding school. Then from boarding school, I kept hopping around, and then I was away, and then I had come back. So it was me literally being a tourist in my own city, right? So going to Banganga, that was the first time I went. I didn't know, and Huzefa actually had taken me there. So there is a blog about that. So it's like my experiences in the city, or going for an art gallery, or a brunch with a bunch of friends. So I had created this brunch group where we would go for Sunday brunches, and then I just write about it, and it was an open group that time. There was no Instagram. On Facebook, it was an open group. So we would sometimes have people who we never know show up for these brunches. So it was exciting.
Bombay Brunch Brigade.
Yeah, that's what it went by. Bombay Brunch Brigade.
That's a nice name.
So we. So where did I start?
No, it's about amusing elephants.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the blog, right? So I had that somewhere playing in my mind, so I thought that I wanted to play on the word muse itself, because with any project, anything that you create, right, there is some form of inspiration, there is some sort of a muse there. Whether it's a story, it's a material, it's a thought, it's an object, something. So we started playing with the word muse, and I think we first had it as muse. So we had many options, Muse Kitchen, but then we were like, people will think it's like a fine dining, or it's like a restaurant.
Or a modular.
Or a modular
I would
kitchen.
think it's a modular.
Yeah. So,
but we knew we didn't want it to be like a studio or an atelier or any of those things. I think not just for the sake of being different, but we knew that we were never just going to be like a studio or an atelier. I think we always knew that our practice was going to be a lot more fluid. And it was more about design and not just about architecture or interiors.
So initially, actually, we started with Muse Lab Design Engine.
That was the entire
Muse Lab design engine.
Yes, and then we dropped design engine. It was just a mouthful.
Muse Lab.
So,
But that makes sense because I mean you can do so much under that banner, right? It's just.
And it was very conscious. I think we even to date, I mean, we take immense pride in the diversity that we've been able to achieve in the past 13 years in our portfolio. And I think what it does is that it just creates a certain excitement even for everyone who's working in the studio because they're constantly exposed to so many different things. I mean, like during the lockdown, we designed concrete wash basins. We worked with Nuance in Bangalore.
I've seen that. I've seen that. Yeah.
And I think there's so much to learn, right? I mean, you just go and you pick up like a basin and you just put in a project, but to actually understand what goes into creating one, the ergonomics of it, it's so much more different than just designing like a chair or a coaster or any of those things. So I think the lockdown actually really, I'm jumping, but it kind of exposed us to so many different trajectories. Like we did like that public toilet prototype. We worked. We did a project a competition with the Amsterdam Light Festival where we designed these. It was almost like an algal microforest. So I think we really I think consciously tapped into so many different things, which I think some way we also feel that it backfires because there is so much of time and research that goes into each and every project, and I think it also exhausts us, but I think that's what keeps us going.
Yeah, and your work is extraordinary. Like I've been following it for years and years and years. I was going to get to that actually, but you already gave us a little gist of it. When I personally look at your work, like I've been following it for many years, and it's an inspiration for me. To become a better designer, to put in those 2 hours extra. To do something else apart from just designing spaces. I've always looked at you all as storytellers. Storytellers of design, creativity, thought processes, and all of that. You all completed a project last year called The Nest,
right?
Where you took a sketch, right, that the daughter had made, the client's daughter, and you used that as a mural in the swimming pool.
Right.
What was the ideology behind that, and how did you convince the client that this is a good idea? It was a great idea. It turned out to look beautiful, but
I think it was not very difficult to convince, I would say, because I think and the reason it's called The Nest is it's a very tight-knit family. I mean, we all love our family, but there it was like for at least the Patels for whom we made the home, for them, their life is like around their daughters, and so it was not very difficult. I mean,
so that particular project is where Hiren Patel did the architecture and we stepped in as interior designers. So
that's a great collaboration.
We were quite nervous, but I think we were very happy also. When it came to the pool, like Jasem said, so the pool is like it's in the central court, so all the rooms on the first floor overlook into the central court, and I think that you can't miss it, right? So and we love like experimenting with patterns and colors and textures. That's like in a controlled way, but that's been like part of
said in a controlled way.
Just
a disclaimer.
I'm not a maximalist.
We not to say we haven't done that, but
we've done that also. But now we are trying to like sort of
Also, some projects just never get documented.
But we've tried to document
all of them.
Or at least like no actually there are some horror stories, but but with like Jasem said that we were just at their home, and I think this was the first presentation where we had not moved into our new office yet, so it was just in between the 2 lockdowns. So we traveled to Ahmedabad and we presented it to them at their home, when it came to the pool, before we were discussing, I think their daughter Rihanna just was painting over there in the corner, and I just happened to like see what she was doing. I asked Ekta is our client, that does Rihanna have more art? And she said yeah. And then we saw, and she had like, I mean, for a then 6-year-old to have such refined art, it was incredible. And then we saw this koi pond art that she had done with these 4 or 5 fish and whatnot, and we were like, that's it, So at that point in time, I think we just took a picture of the art. We're like, you don't want to just like, you have to warm them up, because it's a very radical idea. So even though they were like,
I think like radical is an understatement.
Because it's the thing
it's
is
not done.
It's not done.
It's something, and I feel like now in today's day and age, unless you don't show a reference, right? There's always that one word which I despise, they're like, reference hai kya? Reference hai kya? I'm like, no, the whole point is that we're trying to create something, right? So,
yeah. That I think as an industry, we've screwed ourselves.
Yeah, we have.
But that's a different thing. But so it was, we took that image, we went back, and then, I think over a period of time through conversations, we then were able to sort of convince them. And it was, they loved the idea, obviously, but they were scared about how it would materialize. Because, like you rightly said, there was nothing to benchmark it to, right? So, what is it that you show as an idea? So I think we then made a mock-up. We showed the mock-up. We made a 1:1 mock-up, and of course we loved it, and they loved it too. And I think we just went ahead with it. It looks fab.
Yeah, it looks amazing. It's incredible.
Yeah.
That was I mean, when I saw it and I read about it, right? So I read, like, you all have written a little bit about it, and I was like, when do I get to... But it's so difficult to even come up with that idea. So it was beautiful. I mean, it was a really...
No, I think consciously what Jasem and I also decided is that, we always look at, the client. We always look at a project from how the client is going to use it, the end user is going to use it. So we never really impose ourselves on any project. And even with the Nest also, I think it was important. They don't collect, they're not art collectors. They don't understand art. So every art in the home is customized. And I think that they had to be emotionally connected to it. And what better way to connect to it? Through their journeys, their travels, and of course what their kids are doing. So, yeah.
Another project that I want to talk about, that this is one of my favorite projects that you all have done in the recent past. It is also on the cover of our upcoming magazine, Mono, which is going to be out very soon, Hacienda House. Did I pronounce it right?
Yes.
Okay, thank God. Okay, so that's an absolutely incredible project. Again, the mosaics in the swimming pool region, and what was the thought process behind that and working on that scale?
So yeah, I think that was very exciting, and as a studio, it was also one of our first larger scale kind of residential projects. It's about 12,000 square feet, and it was an interesting planning process in itself, because it's very Vastu and Manyadi Shastram compliant in that sense. So, every room has a certain ratio, proportion, all of that. But it is... and I think the clients here were also very they gave us a free hand to do a lot in that sense. They never, they had a certain brief, and that's why it's called a hacienda, is because their brief was that they wanted something Spanish and Mediterranean in terms of feel. Of course, you can't take a Spanish home or a Mediterranean house and just plop it in Coimbatore, right? So we...
I mean, you can. People do.
You can, yes,
I've
you
seen
can.
Like proper colonial houses in Hyderabad. So I mean, and other places as well.
And with due respect.
With due respect.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, you can.
Yeah.
But so we took that as a brief, and we said that let's transform it. So you had to marry that brief with a programmatic brief that also had to adhere to certain guidelines with the Shastras. So we did that, and then I think we said let's layer it, right? Like, what is it? What are these elements that you see in Mediterranean homes, and how can we layer this space? So sometimes you see tiling on facade, right? So we said let's inverse it. Let's clad the entire inside vault. So the space that you're talking about, the pool.
The vault.
So the vault. So that's about a 75-80 feet continuous vault, where it starts with the pool lounge, an enclosed lounge, which opens up to a deck, and then it continues out to the pool, and it ends with the pool. And then you have the two daughters' bedrooms on top, on the first floor, which overlook that pool. So I think it was to kind of further accentuate that vault as one continuous element. So we said let's wrap it in one finish only, and we wanted to make a statement with it, and that's when we said let's go with this black and white
just
kind of
isometric is a statement in itself. Like, I have that in the article. It's right there. It's so beautiful. And when you look at it, you're like, and I also want to bring this up. You all keep talking about how we decided that we want to do this, and all these decisions are like really extraordinary decisions. So how do you all abstract? How do you all conceptualize? How do you come up with these theories? Is there like a format? Do you watch film or do you read or do you all discuss? There must be something, right? What's the secret sauce?
No, I think a lot of it is it's very intuitive. I would say we don't really no like our process. So we have a very set process in terms of how we work.
Okay.
And even though the projects are very diverse and very different, I think our process is very set. So which is why I think that really helps us because you can't have like a different process for every project, which anyways looks so different, right?
Yeah,
There has to be
enough.
some sort of
Method.
A template,
method, yeah,
like a template,
like a template or something. So I think that is what keeps us in check, and our checkpoints and our control points are over there. But otherwise, when it comes to the ideation, of course, we both work together on all projects up to the design stage, and then one of us kind of takes over the project all the way to completion.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's how we work. So design is always collective. And then what happens is that, let's say if I am taking care of the working drawings and I am handling that project, he will be policing that project. So at least we know that if I have like kind of let loose, or I've kind of eased on a couple of details or whatever, then he polices me, and vice versa. So I think that's really helped us keep things in control. And what it also does is that as a practice, we know that the design is still us. Because, of course, partnership practices work very differently. In some cases, like each partner just takes care of their own projects, and it is still a partnership. However, in our case, I think we've given that a thought, but we like we've got to like design together.
And I think that shows, right? I mean, the success of your studio, it's visible that y'all are working on everything together because y'all are so in sync all the time with every work and every project that's happening.
So and just to go back, I think when we're designing, right, it's more in terms of always thinking about that experience. Like it's how would you want to use the space? How would the client use the space? So even this went through iterations. What you're seeing for the Hacienda.
Oh my God,
there was one iteration where we wanted actually the pool to be at a mid-landing level of the staircase.
Okay.
And
of the staircase.
Yeah. It started with a very they wanted a smaller size, like an oversized tub and a small size pool. But then it just kept growing and growing. It couldn't be on the mid-landing anymore.
It went from a mid-landing to 80-foot stretch.
Yeah. So the pool itself is around 35, 40 feet.
35. The rest is the deck and the lounge.
Okay.
But yeah, it started from a very tiny pool, maybe the size of this room or smaller.
But it was exciting because we had to customize the formwork to cast the entire vault, and I think when they removed the formwork, they delaminated, and we saw the actual vault. We were just like, I think I did like well up a little. I'm like, damn, this
just happened.
Because it's very different when you're experiencing the kind of scale in person. And for us at that point in time, it was like big. So very exciting.
I think that emotional connect between a designer and his or her design is very, very important, and it's not, you don't come across it easily. Very often you'll see like good work, that the designer is so kind of invested in that entire process, and then you just see work. So it's really nice to see that. It's really nice to see that you all are going through that journey in such a beautiful, poetic and romanticized way. It's really, really amazing. We all of us really appreciate looking at your work. It's a treat. Like every time one of your posts come up or something, and I'm just like, man, like it's when will we be here? So but it's great. It's an inspiration.
That said, sorry, I'm cutting you.
No,
but
it's like
fine. That said, it's like, we've been lucky to be out there and to put ourselves out there. And you will agree that there are, I think, hundreds of other amazing designers across the country who are probably doing like so much more better work, and who just are not, who don't even care, to put themselves out there, but they're just silently doing like this amazing work. Like, I don't know if you know of this firm called Ixoy. Right? You look at the kind of work that, of course, I don't know if you know the story about the.
No, I don't.
But anyway, maybe you can edit that part. But so Ixoy does amazing work. They the kind of architecture, the language, it's so restrained. It's still so pronounced, and just like him, I mean, down south as well, if you look at Architecture in Bombay, I guess, and then there is, I guess there are multiple other firms. There is some brilliant work, and it's just that they don't choose to put themselves out there.
Push.
So I mean, these are, there are, I think there are so many young practices that we look up to. And the minute they put a project, just like how you said, right? I mean, like we wait, okay, that they've put up this project, and it feels good. It's good that at least we know that Indian design is in the right hands.
Yeah, we're getting back. I feel like we're getting back now.
And I feel like from when we started our practice, at that point in time, and you also started around the same time, but I guess. I started practicing architecture in 2002. That is when I sort of, had my internship with Shakti Parmar. But I do remember that around that time, there was a lot of insecurity within the design studios also. Like there was not that much of sharing of resources. Even between friends, even if two people have graduated together, there wasn't that much of sharing of resources.
I remember when I had like my first project, right, I wanted a contractor, and I just wanted. And I asked people, but nobody helped me. It was a weird space and a zone to be in. I didn't expect it. So now I personally like to kind of overshare. So if I'm putting a story on Insta, whatever, I tag people and people tell me, why are you doing this? Why are you sharing your work or before they published or all of that? But I can't help it. It's just inherent, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. But I mean,
I'm absolutely with you when it comes to sharing. There's no harm in sharing. I think a lot of that earlier stemmed from a lot of insecurity. But in today's day and age, everyone's very secure. There's ample of work. There is enough, camaraderie between peers. I think there is great rapport. And, now it's not just about, who's a senior architect and who's a junior architect and who's just gotten into the industry. I think everyone's doing great work. Everyone has their own set of resources. So today, even we, being where we are, we reach out to people who are senior to us, and we also reach out to, practices who probably have just started, because if we see something that they've done that we've not done and we want to do something similar, there's no harm in, your ego is one side, is put aside, but you still
in fact, since I'm sitting with y'all had put up a story on Insta about inlay, micro concrete and terrazzo inlay that y'all had done recently.
Right.
I took a screenshot of that.
Right.
Because I wanted to use that, I wanted to implement it, and I couldn't figure where and how it needs to be done, and I did not know who the vendor was, but I understood how you did it, in situ, terrazzo in concrete. I remember that was you had written it clearly there, and it felt good because I finally knew what it was and how you can achieve it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that,
No, and the thing is that there are so many designers, like if you look at Monish also, and Studio, he's made his entire coolant as an open source, right? Whatever he's doing with terracotta and, the air conditioning, sort of the passive cooling techniques and everything that he's looking at, it's an open source now. And it's something that he has, researched, he has developed, he has created an entire technique. But I think it shows, I think in some way it basically shows that if you are creating something, it's your mind, it's your design, and it's your creativity. So why be insecure about it? And just put it out there for everyone to learn and basically further it. I think that's a great way to look at it.
I think we're in a time and age where information is free. It's not.
That's important.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's great to hear. Okay, we're gonna now break this very serious conversation that we have had with a game.
Sure.
Okay, so we're gonna be playing something like a version of Pictionary, I think. I'm gonna give you both cue cards, and you'll have to guess what is on your cue card. So I'm gonna give you this. This is yours. You can keep it. Please don't look at them. Okay, so we'll start with you, right?
Okay.
So if you can pick up one of them and hold it up without looking at it, and you have to guess what the word is. Okay, and we also have shots, not alcoholic. They're just healthy. Not very tasty shots, right? So if you get it wrong, you have to have a shot. And I know you've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, I've been eyeing this from since it was there and there and there and everywhere, and I've been eyeing them.
The whole point of it is lost. We need to make it horrible to taste, like bitter.
So can I have his shots also?
No,
You
can't.
can. You can.
We're partners at the end. What's his is mine. What's mine is his.
Fine. Okay. Let's start.
So I have to guess the word.
Yeah. No, you have to.
I have to act it out and he has to
Yeah,
guess
he
it,
has to
right?
guess it.
Alright.
Yeah. So
Okay. Measure tape.
wow, that was quick.
Oh, I can say also.
Yeah, you
Okay,
can.
It's,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
shape.
Huh.
It's when a rectangle meets a triangle.
It's a rectangle that meets a triangle. Is it like a? No, Jasem, I don't understand
It's
this. Is it like a gate, a door?
no,
No.
it's
Is
a
it like-
shape. It's
it's
a
a shape.
geometrical shape.
It's a. Oh, it's when a rectangle meets a triangle. A diagonal. No, a rhombus. Sorry, a rectangle meets a triangle.
I think he's doing this just so you can have the shot.
Yeah, I think so too. Like,
Is it
do
like a
I
pyramid,
start
a
playing dumb
house?
charades or
Is it
some
like a
sort?
pyramid, a house?
It's if you chop a pyramid.
If I chop a pyramid, it becomes a rhombus. And no,
I
sorry.
think it's short time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Was it a
This-
trapezoid?
this
Yeah, I
a
thought it was a
okay.
trapezoid. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's a trapezoid. Okay, I already feel very healthy. Okay.
Very popular character that puts on a yellow helmet.
Damn.
3-letter first name.
There you said everything. Just a boli bit.
I think he's doing this on purpose.
Yeah, he know. I know he knows. Why do I feel like he knows this?
Bob the Builder.
Yes.
I know he knows it. He's doing this for this.
This is something that I want to hit you with.
Hammer.
There you go. Okay.
Can I just have like my shots maybe later?
I think he's going to be better at it than me. I have a feeling. Okay.
You also need to show the camera.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're going to do it. All right.
Like this.
Okay. Fire, ceiling.
Sprinkler.
Okay. So you know those people who wear like black makeup. It's a cult.
Goth.
Yes.
Gothic
And-
architecture.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Close enough. I think. Yeah.
We're good.
Gothic.
Yeah, we're good. I think
We're good. Gothic arch.
Yeah.
Gothic art.
That was a good. You guys are like really. We tried this, and I was just like, what?
Okay.
I don't think I got any of them.
Okay. So if I want to clean the ceiling, what do I use to clean the ceiling to reach the heights?
A brush, a vacuum,
No,
a
I mean-
ladder.
Yes. Okay. Good. Okay. My one true love.
What? Smeg fridge.
Dick. This is what you have to get.
Meg fridge.
No?
Okay. How do I? Okay.
Really bad
Wait.
Bhojpuri films.
Okay. Elephant. Okay.
This is my turn to have
Okay.
a
So,
shot.
okay. Between the no. I can't even.
Your clues are not good.
Yeah, they're not good because I can't
One
really like.
true love.
Yeah. Jasem,
Smeg
my one true
refrigerator.
love. Yeah,
There's only
Jasem.
one. Smeg refrigerator.
It's a living being.
Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you. Who was more loved in the office?
Amusing elephant.
Well, yeah, it's
Yeah.
you, Jasem. Yeah. Well, it's you.
Yeah.
Good. I'm going to take the shot.
Yeah, you guys can all indulge in
I'll
as many
indulge
of these.
in one.
I think I'm going
to
to. I think
realize how
I'm going to
bad
probably
it
have like a
is.
lot of these shots.
Yeah, you can. We leave them here.
This is actually pretty cool, yeah, Jasem. Look.
It's not that bad actually. You need to make them bad.
No, that was when I was laughing. No, when I was laughing. Okay.